Miss Producer, Unfiltered. Woo!
Finally.
Right? Yeah.
We're here.
How do you feel?
I feel great. How do you feel?
I feel and look great too.
Are you in the building?
Yeah, I'm in my apartment.
Oh God, what is this setup you have? I'm like, wow, I need one of those.
This is my in-home studio, I guess.
I love it.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay, well,
I mean,
this is my in-home downstairs.
that's right. It's your lounge. It's your
right. It's my lounge for the night.
Yeah.
I'm here, present. She's
It's
ready.
it's your podcast lounge. Okay, great. I'm so excited to have you here, first of all. I just can't believe we met in a hot tub in our building.
Crazy, right?
It's insane. And we just started talking to each other. And you were like, I never do this.
I don't.
I don't either. I think it's because it was like the building that we live in.
Yeah.
So there's like a level of safety, I guess, maybe.
Definitely.
But that was hilarious. And look at us a couple of years later.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything. So about that, the first question I have for you, and this one is for my sister asked me to ask this to you. She loves you, by the way. She says hi.
Thank you. She just emailed me the other day. I love her.
Oh, really? Yeah, she's the best. She's a very inspiring person, my sister. Yeah. We're dying to know, like, what's it like driving a truck? Is it scary? Like, what's it actually like?
No, it's not scary. I think back then when I actually had to drive, I was more kind of proud of myself because back then you didn't hear a lot of women talking about, getting CDLs and driving in this huge equipment. And then fast forward now, almost 20 years later, it's just more prevalent, right?
Is it though?
It is. I mean, now, especially
tell us about that.
I know about my platform. I mean, there's so many women drivers now. There's so many women in that industry. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely taken a turn. Back then, not so much,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to drive now anymore. I haven't driven for a while, but I mean, it just feels like powerful. I'm a person who, if something scares me, I'm gonna go do it because I don't like the feeling of being afraid. And so just to be able to handle that big vehicle, going down the road, and I mean, I hate to say it, but women are just more cautious than men are, just period. So I feel safer because I'm behind the wheel versus some maniac, But it feels very powerful. Like I'm in control. I'm behind the wheel. You have all this horsepower. It feels really empowering. It really does.
What's it like making a turn?
It's pretty wide. Pretty wide. You have to be very cautious, especially if it's like a sharper turn. But I mean, with anything, I just think we're just way more cautious, So
yeah,
slow and steady wins the race out there, definitely.
Slow and steady. That's so interesting. I feel like you came in like a tornado and you're like dominating. I don't know. Is that from years of slow and steady, or were you cut?
That's from years of slow. I think it's like an arrow, and it looks kind of like it's being pulled back, and when it's your time, you just propel forward. So I've been doing this for 16 years now, but my presence has grown, I would say, exponentially over the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so tell us who you are. Tell us about yourself. Like, tell us that, like, you're such a badass. I never in my life would have ever thought you're the most gorgeous thing anyone could ever see. Like, who knew that you're, driving massive trucks and like getting all, in the game?
Well, besides being your neighbor.
Yeah. You got this beautiful manicure all the time, like.
Yeah, well, I'm Casey Cooper. My platform is the Compass Circle. I have owned and operated a trucking company for the last 16 years. We do government contracts. We teach women-owned companies how to grow and scale. We do all types of events and seminars all over the world. And it's pretty lit. Like I have a very large following. I have a very impactful platform. And, I'm just out here kicking ass, taking names, and, doing the work.
And showing others how to do the work and how to kick ass.
Definitely. I mean,
so how did you start?
Let's see, I was 25, so that was many moons ago, a lot older than I convey, right? And I just had this epiphany one day that I want to have a business where I want to make money, but I don't want to be the one that has to physically be there making the money. I don't know where the idea came from to get a dump truck, but I was 25. I didn't have a lot of like credit. So I went to my mom and I was like, hey, I need you to like get me this truck. And the truck was like 80,000. She agreed. And I put my little money down and I was on the road.
And what were you doing? What was your first move?
My first move was I was hauling. So I had a dump truck. And just for the listeners, that is a shorter body on the back of the bed, but it's a dump body. So the bed goes up with hydraulics. And pretty much anywhere they're building, like, when you go into an area, let's say it's heavily wooded, they're going to go in with excavators and clear all the ground, clear all the trees. And then they have to come in and level out all the ground. So they have to, put all that soil and dirt on a truck and take it out. And then they have to bring in field sand to level it out so they can build on it. So that's what we were doing back then. We were hauling out the old and bringing in the new. And that's what I was doing, getting the loads, taking them to the landfill, dumping them, and then going back to do it again all day long. So I did that for 4 years off and on. And then I started getting into like other facets and it took off.
So when you were doing this for 4 years, was it your own business? Like what did it represent having your own truck?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I was just kind of working on a smaller scale. It was my truck. It was my business. I wasn't doing like the entire project like I am now. And I didn't really know that much about it. I was still making, $3,000-4,000 a week. So it was good money. But it was like the smaller end of a much larger pie that I had no idea about at the time. Now I get the whole project. Now we do government work for, all kind of government reservations all over the country. And then teaching people how to do it also. So it's kind of two-sided. Operationally, we have it, going on. We have 73 trucks. And then we have like over 200 customers who we're teaching how to put together their program, how to do their trucking services and how to get government contracts. So it's booming.
So you're consulting as well, in essence.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we're consulting. We're doing events. We're also doing television now because everybody wants to know, hey, who's this girl? And, what's with the trucks? I don't look like a trucker. And so people are kind of just intrigued by, wait, you can drive? Wait, you have a CDL? So it's like this whole other lane of, entertainment now because people are entertained also.
Yeah. So let's take it back to when you were 25 and you were first starting out, and like, where would you go? What contracts were you trying to get? How were you doing it?
So I'm a native of Virginia. I was born and raised there. And back then it's kind of more so where there's one big job and everybody goes to that job. And then there's another big job and everybody goes to that job. We just kind of like follow the money, right? Back then we were working there's a couple companies in the area who do like bigger construction projects. And of course we're only doing the hauling portion. So like we're not doing the entire build, but the hauling could take, 6 months, just depending on how big the facility is. So you just pretty much stick with the same companies who are doing all of the building in your area. And that's pretty much how it goes state to state. There's only so many companies in New Jersey who can build or facilitate the build of a $60 million arena. It's just not your typical, you're just not going to bump into somebody in a grocery store who's building that kind of, project. And so we just, kind of follow the money. Fast forward to years down the road. Now I'm the one with the entire project. So I just kind of followed the money and now I'm here.
And so, okay, I need to know because the reason why I'm asking you these questions is because there's so many women out there, so many people out there, but I'm specifically talking about women who want to have their own businesses. They want to be successful. You're always promoting on your social media that it really is easy. You're like, just click on this and just go there and just click on that and you got it. Like, is it really that easy? How easy is it? Because it seems like you worked really, really hard.
I did. And to be honest with you, I worked a lot harder than I had to. I just was stuck in that's the only thing I knew. I knew that I had to get behind the wheel. I knew that I had to go get the load. And I knew that it would in turn make me money. What I didn't know and what I wasn't used to is, hey, I don't even have to be out here. I can go hire 30 trucks to do the work for me. And now I'm making a percentage off of each load that truck is carrying. I don't think it's really any more difficult than anything else is. It's just people are not accustomed to sitting down, looking at an actual scope of work and saying to themselves, hey, instead of me trying to go out here and, take one load or cut 1 yard, let me try to go for a contract where I can get 30 yards and then I can bring in a sub to do all the work for me and I can make money off of his labor. We just don't typically look at business that way unless you're like some project manager or you've gone to school for project management or you saw your parents doing that. We just kind of get into business a little upside down, if you will. So it's not really that difficult. I mean, it's really just, you have to get on these vendor lists. You have to kind of know where to go to find the work. You've got to, look at the whole scope of work. You got to read through it. You've got to kind of bust it down, as I call it. And you have to make sure you have a healthy understanding of what they're asking for, because ultimately you have to deliver, right? And once you do that, you put together your team, you should already have one. But you put together, you kind of like, your plan of execution. And then the real work begins. You have to, follow that workflow and make sure that everything's getting done. So it's not really difficult. It's just most people don't think that way,
So how did you become a person who thinks that way? How do you go from a worker to someone that's like, you know what, I could do this? For personally, just from my own experience, I was auditioning back when I was an actress and I was getting booked and acting in these films and then waiting 8 months to see the final product. I'd go to the premiere, and I went to my first movie premiere and I looked at the screen and I was just like, I could do this, or like I could do a better job than this, and that's how I got started. That's kind of when like the light bulb kind of went on. So did you have a light bulb moment?
Oh, I am the light. Like I was 15, I had vending machine. I was like, I was used to sing. So people that are from back home, they know like, oh, she's the singer or whatever. So I was like 15 and I was singing in a studio.
Wow.
And I thought, we need snacks in here. And so there was this older gentleman in my neighborhood. He used to do vending machines. Like he had like multiple contracts. And I convinced him to, rent me these vending machines. And here I am, 15. I don't have a car, right? So I I persuade him to take him to the studio and, got bummed a ride to Costco, bummed like $200 up. And I filled up my vending machines. I had one for snacks and one for sodas. And that was how I first started making money without having to be there. So you're 15, I'm going to this vending machine, I'm getting my dollar bills out. And I mean, I'm making $300-400 a week. I'm blowing it, of course, but I'm still making it. And the concept of making money when I didn't have to be there at that young age just kind of did it for me. But I think to your point, I mean, what you said, it starts with an idea. I have a lot of standards and things that I don't do. And sometimes, my staff, they kind of get on me because they're like, you're this or you're that. But it's just certain things I'm not going to do, right? And so if that's the standard and I can't do it, somebody's got to do it. So that's kind of, where it comes in at. It's not for me so much as the why, it's the how. I could say, oh, I'm going to go build a shopping mall. And somebody could look at me and go, yeah, right. But if I really go in my mind and sit down and say, how am I going to pull this off? It's going to happen. So I think to your point, it's just a mindset. I mean, it's time and then it's timing. For me, the thought, right, came when I was 15 and I did it on a much smaller scale. And so it's are we surprised that I'm here now at 42? I don't think so. But to your point, it's a mindset shift. At some point, you've got to say, I want more. How am I going to get it?
Right. But you're making 3-4 grand a week. Like that's a lot of money monthly, yearly. What
it is. I mean, it was back then and it was a lot, but you have expenses, of course. And I just knew that the effort I was putting out, I should have more money, like 40,000, 45,000, something like that for the month. If you're just, you have no overhead is substantial. But if you have repairs and you have, fuel costs kind of fluctuating and you have all these different variables, 40,000 can go like that. So I just knew that I wasn't making enough for me getting up at 4 a.m., in the dark at some cold truck yard and not getting home till 5 o'clock. It wasn't worth, it wasn't commensurate to the energy I was putting out. And so I think sometimes God's just, he just very funny. He just puts you in these situations where it's like, okay, how bad do you want it? Climb your way out. It's out here. Come get it. And that's just kind of where you have to buck up and go get it,
So what was the next idea after that? You had one truck. How did you expand?
I had one truck and then I ended up with 3. And then I was like, this just, it's not really hitting the spot for me because it's very seasonal when you're carrying that kind of tonnage and, bulk material. If it rains, you can't haul anymore because the soil gets so, soaked, you can't carry as much. And so after I did that for a while, I was like, this is cool, but I need something that's not gonna stop if it rains. So then I got into tractor trailers, which is closed containers, and they're longer. They're like 53 feet wide. You see them on the interstates all the time. And that's every day, all day, nonstop. You can haul diapers, bicycles, pickles, watermelons, everything in your house, everything wherever anybody is brought to you on a ship, and then it's brought to you by a truck. And so that kind of really got me like in the $1 million arena, and just it's had a life of its own. It really did.
And so so you said you have 73 trucks right now?
We have 73 trucks in our fleet.
And what?
In our fleet.
In your fleet. And how many people do you employ?
Not that many. It's probably about, it goes up and down, give or take an idiot or 2. I'd like to keep a small company though. There's like 15 of us all together. Some are in California, Memphis, Florida. Am I leaving it? We have some in Mexico. They're all kind of spread out throughout the United States.
Is that strategic? Is that the strategy?
It wasn't at first. Now it is. Not so much in the beginning, but once I kind of caught on to, California is way more expensive than, say Tennessee. I was like, oh no, let me kind of revamp some things. So now it's strategic. But we're very effective. I hire like great people. So, and I believe in like quick changes. So if I hire somebody, they're up against the rest of my staff. If it's not working out, it shows automatically because everybody else is so good at what they do. You stick out like a sore thumb if you're not just as good. We get rid of you fast if it doesn't work out, and we just keep the wheels turning.
What makes you good?
Let's see, what makes me good? I've been doing this for a really long time, and I've done it from the bottom up. So there's nobody who can come tell me or sell me on something that I don't know because I was out there doing it, especially being male dominated. Sometimes the kind of ideas like, oh, well, she doesn't know this or, oh, she doesn't know that. But then when you start, reading off about drive shafts and, airbags and, fuel filters and stuff, then they kind of look at you like, oh, well, he's clutching his pearls, because I know my stuff. I also hire really great people. And I don't micromanage my staff. I let them do what they do. I think it makes for a much better workplace. I think they're much happier. And it's easier for me. My job is not to go make sure that you're doing your job. It's not my job.
That's somebody else's job.
Right. So I just let them rock out. We are few in number, but we are great at what we do. We keep a lot of communication. We keep in touch every day, all day. So if things are happening over here, it doesn't take us 2 weeks to find out about it over here. We're just very close knit in that way. And I mean, I'm also very blessed. I can't not include that, There's a lot of people who have a lot of people working for them, and it's just not what I have. So I'm definitely blessed in that regard.
You mentioned male dominated. Was that an issue for a long time? Is it still an issue?
It's not an issue anymore because I do business at such a high level that the men I encounter are so busy counting their quarters that, they don't have time for that, I think on a smaller scale where people are kind of just a little bit, they just have a different mindset. And earlier in my career, it definitely was. I used to get kicked off jobs because there would be somebody who would try to, talk to me, but the foreman was trying to talk to me. So he kicked the guy off and then kicked me off if I didn't give him my number, and kicked the guy off if, I was talking to him too long at the urinal or whatever. So back then it was just kind of like petty problems. Now, not so much, because really, to be honest, I say no to more things than I say yes to. It's got to really be something that I really want to be a part of to just make me go do it. Or I got to really have a, relationship with you. So we're just so self-contained, and I'm really doing my thing, to be honest. I don't need a lot of outside, validation or, I'm just very self-contained. So I don't need a lot. So I'm saying that to say I don't really deal with a lot of outside people outside of my own staff and my own, what I have going on, to where I really have to deal with a lot of strangers. It sounds kind of crazy, but
No, it sounds
I just
great.
keep it very, I keep it tight.
That's the way to do it. Now, you seem like a very, very strong, you have a very strong personality, and you embrace your confidence really, really well, and you know what you're talking about. Do you think that this is a business that you need to have all those qualities, or can someone who's a little bit more shy and reserved do what you do?
I don't know how
You
you're gonna
need to be a shark. What?
I don't know how you're gonna be shy and do anything. I just don't know how that's gonna work. I mean, hey, maybe you can. I just feel like I'm gonna be the bully and I'm not gonna be the bullied. And my kids, I raised them to be the same way. I mean, we don't want to be either, right? But if I have to choose, I'm gonna be the bully.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, because I look like this, they don't get it. Like, I will run you over, like literally, and not even feel a way about it, because it's not personal with me. But I gotta get shit done, So I don't really get into I tell people all the time, I only have 3 feelings. I don't have thin skin. I'm not what I look like. I tell people all the time, I just look like this. I mean, really, it's not personal.
I just look like this. It's not personal.
I have too many people depending on me to sit on the side of the road and cry, or to ruin my day about what somebody said to me, in passing. It's just not, I'm not on
You're
that
just
kind of time.
busy. You don't have time.
Yeah, I'm focused, and, I just mind my business, and I have to get things done.
Were you like that since you were a child?
No, I think I've kind of found my voice, and like am unapologetic about it in my latter years. Something happens when you turn 40. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Something happens when you turn 30, so I can only imagine what it's like when you turn 40.
It only gets better. I mean, I think sometimes because of the way we're raised, especially as women, you're supposed to be nice and you're supposed to be this and that, but all that goes out of the window when you have, people to pay, and you have people to feed, and you have people depending on you. I can't always be nice, and it doesn't mean I'm being mean either. I don't have time to act a certain way. I have to get things done. And I think sometimes people are a little bit shocked by that, because I'll just look you square in the face and say no. And I think people kind of like follow up with what's coming next? Nothing. No is a complete sentence, and on to the next. I just don't have the time to worry about whose feelings I'm hurting, because I'm not putting on, an air of this gracious, girl. Again, I just look like this,
It's
sorry,
a happy
sorry.
accident.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
But so you didn't become this way until you were 40?
I wouldn't say like, oh, I turned 40 and hey, this is it. I think especially with a platform as public as mine is, you've got to really kind of teach people how to treat you. I can't be everybody's friend. It's a lot of fanfare with this. And that for me was a hard lesson to learn, because when you're coming from like the professional side, and then you're sliding into like social media and digital products and events, people love you, but people also hate your guts. You can see, somebody can see a video of yours, and it's just the sound of your voice, or the way your hair is curled, or the way your eyebrows look. And you would be so surprised. It can totally just turn somebody off. And that can turn into a nasty comment, a nasty DM, and you haven't even done anything. You'd be surprised at some of the comments I get. I'm teaching you how to grow and scale your company through government contracts, and you're in the comments like, I hate her eyebrows. So you also have to have very thick skin, because that comes with the territory, So
why do you think people are like that?
I think that when you are doing whatever you're doing and somebody's on the couch watching you, it makes them feel a certain way about what they're not doing. Because in all honesty, somebody who's just as busy as me is not thinking about my eyebrows. Somebody who's booked and busy and moving around is not looking at me thinking, oh my God, I hate her eyeshadow. It's just not what we do, right? And so you kind of got to just, take it with a grain of salt. It's not really about me or my eyebrows or any of this. It's about how I'm making you feel. And most of the time, I'm going to make you feel inadequate, especially if you're not happy with what you have going on. And that's just, what it is. So I don't
So sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. I'm definitely not going to wear your dirty, soggy laundry that you are not going. I'm not doing that. So that doesn't even register. Back a couple of years ago, I found myself like making a comment and then I just erased it. Like, I don't have time for this. And
so you don't engage with the hate?
No, you can't. What? No, people pay me top dollar for my time and attention. And some bastard in the comments is definitely not getting it. Like, it can't happen. I just stay above it.
Yeah. Is it hard though? Like, do you read it sometimes? Does it make you feel bad sometimes?
It's crazy to me that you would write an 8-page letter under a comment only for me to block you and never read it. I think it's hilarious. I'm never going to read it. I'm never going to run into you anywhere. Like, it's just a waste of your time. And so it's kind of comical to me because you really got to stay above everything beneath you.
Absolutely. No, I think it's a really healthy attitude. I think it's really hard. I mean, a lot of like really famous celebrities, actors, models always talk about how hard it is for them. I think I ran into Khloe and Kim Kardashian. And on their show, they were talking about how sometimes, like Khloe said, she doesn't even want to leave the house because she's so nervous to be in the spotlight all the time. There's so much hate. Hailey Bieber was talking about how, I think she was suicidal or something like that. So good for you.
Yeah, I can't do it. Like,
you're like, I don't have time.
Yeah, I don't have time. It's more off-putting for me to be somewhere like I'm just running into UPS and somebody recognizes me. That kind of weirds me out. But the comments, no, I never read the comments. Like, don't read the comments. You can't read the comments.
But how important is social media to you in terms of a business strategy?
Social media is really important. I mean, I make millions of dollars on social media. It's almost
just
like
on social media.
Well, of course, we have the other operational side. I mean, that's always been there. But social media, yeah, we do last year we did 3.5 million on social media.
Meaning like deals with brands or people who are signing up through Instagram?
People who are signing up. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's very lucrative. So it's almost like you're in a glass case, right? You're on display, but you can't let them touch you, you know? You can be impactful and you can inspire somebody and you can give a word and you can, invoke change, but you can't touch me. And that just goes for, it is what it is, whether it's television or, there's just too many people out there with too many issues and they're not all bad, some are good, but you don't have time for that either. It's like you're campaigning, you're kissing babies, you're shaking hands, you're putting out your content and people feel it one way or another, but I can't let them put their hands on me. You can't touch me. You can see me and you can hear me, you can feel me, but you can't touch. So that's just how I keep it,
I love that. So tell us about the reality show that you have self-funded.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. So I won't say the name, but a company, funny you said the Kardashians. I don't know if I should say this. Anyways, I'll say that
I could always delete it later if you want me to.
I'll say that they are one of the most premier production companies in the world, actually. They, I guess, caught wind of me and they came and they wanted to do a show about me and trucking.
Yay!
Well,
what? No?
Well, it's flattering, but it's fortune over fame for me. So again, my project manager hat came on and I was like, well, I'll do you one better. I'll bring you a show. I'll go shoot it, self-fund it, everything, and I'll, put my spin on it, and I'll bring it to you, and you can decide if you want to play ball later. They love the idea. They love the show. They wanted to play ball, but they didn't want to pay me what I was worth. And they were actually shopping the show without my permission.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, they were trying to throw like money at me, and then I was like, "No, are you kidding?" And they were like, "Well, we'll give you double." And I was like,
"Oh, is this what you were telling me about when we spoke?" Oh, okay. So this is the same production company.
Same production company.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they were trying to do you dirty.
Oh, they were trying to do me dirty. So they were like, "No, unfortunately, we're the best in the business, and we just don't partner." But all the while, you guys are showing my trailer all around Hollywood with no, agreement. So I had to get my lawyer involved, and I ended up getting a very well-respected friend of mine. She's been in Hollywood for like 30 years. And she ended up getting me a few deals. And so the show, we're going to start shooting it first quarter of 2023.
Wow.
It's tentatively gonna be out, I'll say, last part of the summer going into fall.
Oh, wow. That's fast.
They're really excited about it. And so it's about myself and 3 other women who are in the trucking business and, killing it as well. Just dealing with, drama we have professionally, personally, and how we kind of uplift each other. And we're putting on a expo in a couple states all over the nation to just show women, hey, come on out, be impactful. Just show women how to be powerful women. And so
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it.
I'm really excited about your show too, because I feel like it's that we don't need any more like housewife shows, you know? This is definitely a show about CEOs. It's about women who run shit. And I think it's great. And I think it should be out there. And it's more content like this should be out there when we're talking about like plugging women more into media and content and all that jazz.
Oddly enough, in having the meetings with the execs, and it's so funny, you see stuff on TV, you have no idea all the hoops you have to jump through to get it on, that screen.
Oh, yeah.
We were met with, okay, so you're women in trucking and you're women of color, and so what's the big deal?
Oh, wow.
It's like, well, have you ever seen anybody doing it? No.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like, okay, well, so who's fighting? Who's
Right.
the queen? Who's trying to take your spot? Or we also had oh well, so we'll set it up so some man's trying to take your business. It's like, no, we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm. This is just the way it is. Like, get over it.
This is just the way it is. We don't have enough day-to-day fires to put out without having to, drum up some drama that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Now tell us about that. What's it like being, CEO? What's it like?
I have a pretty good handle on it now, I'll say. I mean,
What,
I've been doing
what do you mean when you say now?
Well, of course, earlier it wasn't like this. I mean, I wasn't like CEO status, but now, I mean, I hire really good people so that I don't have to do everything. My staff only really like bothers me if something has escalated to the point where whoever's my right hand, can't handle it, which is like, it's not every day, but it's not, never either. And I really, to be honest, I focus more on just keeping the ship on course, keeping us on target.
What's the target?
What's the target? Right now, the target is onboarding more drivers. It's always onboarding more drivers because it's so high turnover in trucking that people are always leaving and people are always coming. Mm-hmm. So I always have to come up with another way to get more people to lease on, get in front of this camera. What else? More contracts, of course. But I have a pretty good handle on it now. So my day-to-day isn't as stressful or as busy as a person would think. My main goal for my everyday life is to keep myself as unbusy as possible. Because when something does happen, I don't need to be so busy that I can't think I can't think my way out of it. I also have 2 kids they're not grown, but they're not, babies either. And I want to be there for them. So, I don't want to be all stressed out every day and I don't want to be moving around all day. I really want to just be able to, have the kind of days I want. And I have that.
I think that's great. So, and you're continuing on this path. So things will hopefully just get even more and more smooth for you. Can you talk a little bit about like the trials and tribulations of being a mom and before things are running smoothly and, without so much of your hand in every single decision?
Oh my God, yeah. I had a lot of mom guilt because my kids were 4 and 1 when I was in the thick of this. And so my son, I was married before and I got to homeschool and I could just wake up and just, teach him and it was great. And then I went through this tumultuous divorce. And then I had my daughter and it was much different. He had to go to school and then I had the trucks and I was on the road. So sometimes, they would go to school late. Sometimes I'd have to take them out early. Sometimes, like on a Friday, hey, you're not going to go to school today. I'm going to take this load. I had to really do what I had to do. Funny story. So I ended up putting them in like one of the best private schools where I lived at. And, on the surface, I felt better about it because that's what we think is the best thing. You put your kids in the best school and blah, 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 right? And when my platform really took off and I was getting invited and doing all this traveling, I went to the principal and I was like, listen, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. I have to take them out. And she was like, I understand. My mother talked about me like a dog when I took my kids out of school. I mean, she's like, you're so stupid. And 2 years later, COVID hit. And she was like, oh my God, you're so smart. You know, you're so forward thinking. That's our parents, right? And it has worked out a lot better for me. They're still homeschooled. But I think for any mother, you really can't look at anybody else and what they're doing. You know, if she's got a husband and he's making $1 million a year and she can stay home and you're out here, you know, trying to make your ends meet and you're running all around all day, it's just not the same variables. It's not going to be the same. You really have to run your own race. For me, taking them out of school was one of the best things I've ever done. They get to travel and we go, you know, we have different homes in different states. I never have to be anywhere because they're in school and they're getting if you ask me, they're getting a better education, you know, outside
Tell,
of learning
tell
outside
me
of.
more about that. What has your experience been like education wise for your kids? What's the difference between homeschool and a regular education? Were they ever in public schools?
No, my kids have never gone to public school.
Yeah, so
They didn't go to public
private,
school.
between private and homeschool then.
Between private and homeschool. So I'll say this, I started off homeschooling my son. When I went to go put him in school, he tested. She goes, "Oh, we're just going to test him. We'll be like in 20 minutes. We'll be back." And I was waiting out there for an hour. And when she came back, she goes, "Oh my God." She goes, "He tested through the roof." And I just kept going to see where he was. She goes, "What have you been doing?" And I was like, "I've been homeschooling him." She goes, "He's amazing." And so we did that for a while. When I took them out, I ended up hiring a couple of professors to go over math and different subjects for them. So they meet with their professors a couple of times a week. And then they have like online learning that they do. We have a nanny that lives with us, and but they also get to travel with me. And my son
No,
works
it's amazing.
for my company, and my son processes, you know, paperwork. And when we're doing events, and you know, they're putting up my banners and all that stuff, they get to see all that. You know, I make them here, take my card and go buy whatever. So they're getting real life experience. They're seeing it, you know, not from the ground up anymore, but.
So you were doing the teaching at first?
Oh yeah, I started off homeschooling my son when he was, before he even went to school.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 15 now, so this is a while ago.
Yeah, but it's just, I can't imagine you're actually the one homeschooling your son and you're working full time.
Oh yeah, it's not as hard anymore because now the precedent is set and he knows what he's supposed to do. And I'll say this too: when you put that much energy into your children when they're young, for me, I didn't have to really do as much later because it was already put in. He's brilliant, you know. So a lot of times I'm calling him to solve my problems because, you know, you've got this brainiac child. But I love it. It's I don't have to leave them behind, you know. I don't have to pick between school and making money. They're like on set with me when we're filming, and they're seeing all these cool things that the average child is not getting exposed to.
It must be incredible.
I think it is.
Now, what about juggling relationships? Has that been hard? I mean, you don't have to talk about your personal life. I'm just in terms of like sustaining a massive company and also giving time to your children and also educating your children and also, you know, like were partners that you've had did they ever feel threatened by how successful you are?
No, it's so funny because for me, I was married, right? And then I got divorced. And then after I was married, I'm in a season of, oh my God, holy shit, you know, everything's falling apart. I have to pull it all together. I was fortunate enough that God sent me what I needed in a man at the time that I needed it. So when all hell was breaking loose, he sent me a partner that could fix everything and could help me and was like in the battle with me, and he was instructing too, and it worked out. And then kind of when I went to the next level, I had a partner that was right there for that level, you know. I feel like I always get what I need in a partner at that time. Right now I have a fantastic partner who's just, he's just so proud of me and who I am and and I will say this, he's not scared of me because most men are. And I look at him sometimes and I go, "You're really not afraid of me, are you?" And he goes, "Why would I be afraid of you?" But he doesn't feel a way about anything I have going on. He's not afraid to let me shine.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And he just lets me do my thing. He's not pressed or impressed by, you know, the private jets and all the stuff. He's very chill, and he's beautiful, and he's gorgeous to look at. And he compliments me very well, and he's here in the building if you want to see him.
Ooh, I gotta meet him.
And he's younger than I am.
Mine is too.
Well, mine's significantly younger than I am.
Ooh, how's that? Like 10 plus years younger?
Like 16 years younger.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
What's
but
that?
he is a very old soul, I will say. Like
That's the thing, yeah.
he's a very old soul. He's the boss of his company. He's telling 50-year-old men what to do all day. So if I didn't tell you how old he was, you would never guess.
Yeah. What I was really, really interested to ask you about is, the new industry standard. It looks like it's going to be unmanned trucks. How are you feeling about that? Do you have any plans for when that happens, or is it just not a threat yet?
No, it's not a threat yet. I mean, it's like these futuristic cars. While there are, prototypes and all that kind of stuff, it just isn't going to happen for quite some time. And by the time it does happen, I will have, made enough money that it won't matter.
Okay, so you're already putting together your retirement fund.
Oh yeah. I mean, I really want to go heavily into TV and film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once the show comes out, because of the way I did the deal, I can kind of leverage myself into that position.
Mm-hmm.
All of this has been a journey, but you always want to keep moving forward. And so I'm going to take it as far as I can.
Keep moving, keep growing. Because I saw a podcast, I think it was like Andrew Yang was on Joe Rogan years ago, and he was saying how the first targeted industry when it comes to automatic vehicles is going to be the trucking industry, just because it's like such harsh conditions for drivers. Did you ever have to deal with conditions like that?
Yeah, so for me, I never I'm okay, not never, but if I was on the road, I would always get a hotel. Like I would never sleep in the truck. That was a standard I had. Like if I'm going to be out here, I'm going to get a hotel, I'm going to shower, and a lot of times I had the kids with me too. So it just was something that I wasn't willing to do. I was not willing to go into a, truck stop and shower. I just wasn't going to do that. The offset was if I got to be out here and I'm going to be making the money, I'm at least going to have a good night's sleep. I'm going to have a good shower. And that worked out well for me. There's trucks right now that you have 93 Peterbilts on the road. You have 2000s. So it's just not something that's going to happen right away. I'm not worried about it.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say you want to be more involved in TV and film, in what capacity are you talking about?
I want to create more shows. I've already
You like producing?
I love producing. I think I have such an eye for it. It's crazy. You watch all this TV, right? And then you have things that you're just naturally good at. From me putting together our own trailer and just talking to different people and getting different feedback and, people who are like important people. I think we did a really good job in a very small amount of time. And I'm starting to look at other types of shows. There's another young lady, she does like a travel show. And I'm like, I'm going to sign her. Like I'm already looking at different, because you don't want to be about yourself all the time either. I can't say that I want to be in front of the camera forever and always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm really fortunate because I get to dabble in a lot of different subjects when it comes to my documentaries. Like I could work on, a show about double agents during the Cold War, and now I'm working on a show about aliens. I did a show about like cult survivors and another show about, serial killers or mafia or Hitler or the Pope or so many different avenues. But I don't know. I just like to keep growing and keep learning and keep doing new things and keep at it. And whatever mood I'm in, I'm going to go and do that. Like, for example, this podcast, I was in the mood. I was like, you know what, let's do this. It's time. I've been thinking about it. And it's like you said, it's a mindset. It's having also, I think also enough confidence to say, I can do that. I don't think you have to be a genius to do things. I think the only thing you need to do is to do it. You just have to start, and you kind of also never know where it's going to lead you. That's the one thing that definitely I could say happened in my life on repeat is I started something and it led to something else.
Absolutely. I love that. Just the freedom to create what you want and not being stuck in that, well, this is what I've been doing for the last however. I love that for you. I mean, I love it for me. I love it for us. Just the freedom aspect.
Thank you. Yeah, freedom's huge too. The fact that I get to like create my own schedule and work from home and do what I need to do during the day and not have to ask for permission, not have, anxiety that I'm going to be late to an office. all that jazz. Like I worked in corporate America and it was not for me. It's definitely not for me.
It kills your spirit, especially if you're like a fearless and you just are gonna do it.
Yeah. Especially if you have a big personality, no one likes that in the corporate world. You're supposed to be very, robotic and like wear a specific uniform, like, neutral colors only, blah, 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 hair back, yada, yada. And I was just like, I'm in, synagogue all over again. I feel like I'm in temple.
Yeah.
Disaster. So what about, how do you feel like, where do you go for networking purposes? Or have you reached a point where you don't even have to do that anymore?
I don't want to say I don't have to. Okay, I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it, okay? But I don't just not do it because I don't have to. I'm at the point now where every day somebody's emailing me or asking me to come do something or come be this or come do that. I just was in Bal Harbour yesterday and one of the big stores was like, oh, can you come and can you do a women's blah, 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 blah. A very large store, I'll say. Bless you.
Sorry.
And I'm just to the point now where I'm so self-contained that I really get to pick and choose what I want to be a part of. And I think that's a great thing. Like I'm not biting at the bit to go to everybody's party and to come to everybody's thing and blah, 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 blah. Just not into it. I did it with you. It's like tight.
Thank you.
That's you. So every day somebody's emailing, hey, come to this, do that, do this, do that. I think it's important, but I think it's also just as important to say no and to not be everywhere because you want to have some exclusivity. You don't want to be just the girl who is doing anything and everything. It kind of just diminishes, your brand, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
But every day somebody's asking me to do something. And typically I'm going to say no. Don't let that deter anybody from emailing me.
I still want the option to say no, so keep them coming.
Right? I am being honest.
What has been, give me like your top 3 hardest things that you've had to deal with over the course of your career?
Top 3. Number 1 was having to make the decision of leaving my husband and saving my business or being his wife and letting my business go. Hands down, one of the hardest decisions I've ever made.
Wow.
We go into it giving our all heart in hand, and he just did not want to give up the program. And after like a decade, I was like, I just cannot do this. I had to pick between him and me, and I had to choose me. And it was sadly one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. Number 2 would be my daughter was born at 5 months early, and leaving her behind in the hospital for 5 months was just, I do not wish that heartbreak on anybody. Like if my heart was ever broken, it's leaving your baby behind in the hospital, not knowing if she's gonna be,
She was born 5 months early?
She's born 5 months early. You've seen her, she's very little. She's 11, but she looks like she's 8.
She's so beautiful.
Just so tiny. What would be number 3? I think number 3 is just picking me, just making the cognitive decision that I'm going to choose me in every situation. Like it's always going to be me. I think there's a certain level, especially for women and we have kids, of like there's guilt with that no, you shouldn't always pick it. Yes, you absolutely should always pick you. And that wasn't the easiest mindset shift to have, but I'm glad I did because now it changes everything for me. I don't just accept anything. You can't just talk to me any kind of way. And it didn't just happen overnight. It took, some time to get here. I think those would be the hardest at this point. Definitely.
Was there ever a situation in your career where you were like, holy shit, I don't know how I'm going to do this, and you did it?
Oh, all the time.
Oh, yeah?
It still happens. It still happens. I mean, even with the show, I was like, okay, I've never shot a show before. I mean, we do content all the time. It's great content, but actually having to put down on pencil and paper and have a timeline and da-da-da, you just get it done. So me being me, I went and outsourced. I found a producer on some shows that I liked, hired them, brought them in as consultants, hired somebody else to sell the show for me. I think the answer is very simple. We just try to do too much, I'm not a surgeon. So if I need, my boobs done, I'm not going to do it myself, right? I'm going to go pay somebody. So I just adopt the same theory, you know, in
You
life.
delegate.
I delegate, or I hire somebody who does it better than me, so I don't have to. My slogan is, all I have to do is pay. I don't have to do it. I just have to pay. Sign me up.
Yeah, my father always says, if you could fix a problem with money, if you have that option, do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So give me an example of like, you know, something like a catastrophe that happened that you had to fix in trucking.
Catastrophe number 1,185.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I had a driver one time who he was in some little town in the Carolinas, and he had a trailer that he was pulling for another customer, but the trailer was stolen. And so he got pulled over at a weigh station. They happened to do an inspection. Of course, they discovered that the trailer was stolen. Of course, it wasn't, you know, our fault. It wasn't his fault either. But he went to jail, and he went to jail over the weekend, and he couldn't get out until like that Monday. So I jump in my car, I throw the kids in the back, we go down there, and they're only accepting cash, right? You can't take out like $4,000 at an ATM on a Sunday. So we had to come home, get the money, but by that time, I think the only bail bondsman in town was unavailable. It was just, you know, a nightmare.
Wow.
I just stayed in the hotel, and I called his family and just let them know, hey, we're here. You know, I can't get him out until the next day, but I'm here in spirit, and, you know, he'll be home as soon as, you know, I can get him out. And I got him out, you know, paid him a couple extra bucks for the inconvenience, and he's still a driver with me to this day.
Wow. And you have their backs like that. That's so nice.
Yeah, I mean, if I can't get you out, at least I'll be there, you know, waiting in the parking lot when you come with a vodka tonic with your name on it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about what you do?
My favorite part is I get to do whatever the hell I want and whatever I don't want every day. I love that.
That sounds amazing.
I love that for me. I just love it for me. If I want to be, you know, in California, if I want to be here, if I want to be, I get to do whatever the hell I want to do every day. I love that for me.
I love that for you too. And is there like some sort of a routine that you have? Are you a religious person? Do you meditate? Do you do yoga? Do you work out?
No, I'm not into all that stuff.
None
and
of
so
it.
here's the thing. You hear, oh, the richest people in the world get up at 5 a.m. and they blah, 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 blah. Well, sometimes I don't go to bed till 5 a.m. Sometimes, you know, I have different like times where I'm staying up all night and I'm wanting something. So I'm like, you know, putting all the good thoughts in, and I'm doing my mojo and I'm doing my magic. And then I have times where I'm just, you know, binging on Vikings all 6 seasons. And, you know, I just really allow myself to feel however I'm feeling. And I go with that. So it's not always I'm up at 5 a.m. It's not always I want to work out. It's not always I want to do this or whatever season I'm in. And my seasons are pretty rampant, you know. Right now, I'm in a season of I just want to be home. I don't want to travel. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to be home. I want to be on my beanbag. I want to, you know, hook up the Christmas lights, and I want to get in the Christmas spirit. So I've been at my house in Tennessee, and I've been in the cold and, you know, just doing the holiday thing. And then I know I'm going to be in a season where it's time to film, and you're going to be in LA for 3 months. And so because I think the demand is there, I get to pick and choose what I want that demand to be, though. And so if I work really hard for 30 days or 2 weeks, I want the off time. I want the downtime. So I pretty much go with however I'm feeling at the time. Yeah. You know, hence the house here and the house there. Sometimes I want to be cold, you know, and sometimes I don't. So I just give myself the option to really go with however I'm feeling. I think that serves me pretty well.
Yeah, I'm the same way, actually. I'm not a creature of routine. I think I'm pretty successful, but I just do how I feel. If I'm in the zone to write, then or I'll wait until I get in the mood to write, and then I'll pound it all out, and I'll be up until 7 a.m. just writing. You know, I can't force it.
You can't. I love that. Yeah. I mean, I think you look at all these people who have these platforms, and they're like, oh, well, you need to drink water, and you need to do this. And
yeah.
My stuff doesn't come to me like that. It doesn't come 8 a.m. It just doesn't come like that.
Yeah, mine doesn't
so
either.
I agree with you. I let it come when it comes, and when it's not, I lay there.
Yeah. I also have I'm really good at getting things done when I need to get them done. And I know that if I just focus for a couple hours, I'll get it done. So that's why I allow myself to chill whenever I need to chill. Cause I think I just have the confidence that I could, you know, deliver when I need to.
Yeah. When the mood hits, it's almost like the limitless pill.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
get it done versus
That's
trying to, agonize over getting it done. And then I'm also in love, and that's something I haven't felt this type of love in a really long time. And so I just want to bask in it.
Oh, yeah.
A woman is just a different creature when she's loved properly. And
It's amazing.
it's amazing. I just want to
Yeah.
crawl in his skin. So
Yes. I love that. I was telling my sister actually when I was falling in love, I was like, I don't know, I'm mad at myself because I'm like not really focusing on all the things that I want to do. I'm just like excited to hang out and I clear my schedule and all this stuff. And she's like, you're such an idiot. That's how it's supposed to be. That's why it's fun. Like you don't want to do anything else. Just let yourself enjoy it.
Exactly. I love it. Oh, I love
Yeah.
it.
I'm so happy for you. It sounds amazing. Yeah, you seem like you're doing really well, and I'm really happy, and I'm really proud of you, and I'm really happy I met you. And I hope that you continue to inspire people out there every day, all day. And when you're tired and you don't feel like inspiring anyone, just chill in Tennessee with the Christmas lights.
I'm so happy that we met so cavalierly, right?
Yeah.
And then the right timing came. And to be honest, I think I'm only just getting started. I mean, even with meeting you, I think we're really only just getting started. I think we have so much more to do.
Yes.
So much more work to do. So many more people to touch and impact. And I'm just happy to be here in this time and just being able to do it. I really am.
I love it. We need more people like you, Casey.
We need more people like you too, Nicole.
Oh, what a cheesy little way
right,
to end this.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you think is important to share with people who are aspiring to have their own business, whether it's trucking or not?
Absolutely. You gotta work harder at working smarter. Just because you get up at the crack of dawn and you pound it out all day does not mean it's going to turn over the way you think. You're only going to burn out. You're only going to start resenting it. And you don't want to do that when you loved it or you wanted to do it in the first place. So you gotta just be smarter about your approach. A lot of times we are just working too hard and we're trying to do too much. It's more advantageous and more manageable to do a little piece of a big thing and let somebody else do the rest. And you can just, repeat that same algorithm. And so we just don't look at ourselves as being as capable as we really are, especially women. We're so naturally, multitaskers and multifaceted. That is a skill set. Project management is a very real thing. So managing the entire project, but only doing a smaller portion of it, making sure it's getting done, that's work also. You don't always have to go dig the ditch. If somebody else has a trailer full of shovels, let them dig the ditch. You decide how much that job is going to sell for. You mark it up off their labor and you work smarter and you step and repeat.
I love it. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right. So we'll see you on, what was your Instagram handle? The Compass Circle?
The Compass Circle.
Say it one more time.
At the Compass Circle.
I love it. Follow her, everyone. I'm so excited for your show to come out. I can't wait to see it and hear more and more good news forever.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Hit that like button and subscribe.